in a coma. She's pronounced unalive. The Iranian government comes out, they're like, yeah, she had a heart condition. And the parents are saying, no, that is absolutely not the case. That is not true. That's far from the truth. This is a healthy young girl. The UN sent someone in to do a neutral analysis, and they deemed that it's foul play. And the Iranian people are pissed. It starts this movement, Zan Zendegi Azadi, Women, Life, Freedom, in 2022. This is the first time that the Western media did a really good job showing how oppressive the Iranian government is. So that started off as a huge wave round of protests, and we actually interviewed someone who was just on maybe a week or so ago, and she explains her story of what it was like. These are young kids who are going out and protesting, sneaking out of their parents' house in the middle of the night, amongst others. Why? Because they care about the cause, because they don't want to be oppressed anymore. So I don't want to say it fizzles out, but after a lot of protests and 551 reported on the lives, with estimates being 3-4 times that, it got to the point where the morality police were given lighten up a bit. What does that mean? It means don't bother people inside of malls. If they're out on the street not wearing their hijab, fair game. But inside a mall, just don't go in the mall. So it's like a don't ask, don't tell for the hijab in private places. That was the compromise for 15 to 2,000 people unalived. But what really happens is towards the end of this year, so that leaves a bad taste in people's mouth if they're dealing with the suppression. But what happens in December of 2025 is the UN set on a new set of sanctions. So they set on this new set of sanctions and they collapsed the IRR. It got to the point where the IRR was 1.5 million to 1. That was the exchange rate. Well, what happened is the people in the bazaar weren't able to sell the goods for the same price that they were able to have to pay to restock. So what did? They went and protested. And those same people from that Women, Life, Freedom movement tagged along with it. And so I have been researching, and I have an exact day-to-day play-by-play of what happened. Let's start. Protests really began on January 28th. Simple. January 1st through the 3rd, a couple things happened. Or December 31st through January 1st, a couple things happened. First is Donald Trump comes out and he says, hey, people of Iran, your government's not going to do this to you. If they do, we are locked and loaded. We have your back. And the people of Iran are so appreciative of this opportunity. They're like, finally, this is the opportunity we've been waiting for. We have the U.S. who's watching us. Your government's not going to attack us like they have in the past. And what happens? On January 3rd, Khamenei goes, rioters should be put in their place. So in other words, Trump sends out a tweet. Khamenei's like, oh, hold my beer. Rioters should be put in their place. They also say that the IRGC decided that was the time where the, quote, period of tolerance is over. So for the past 4 or 5 days, they were protesting in relatively peaceful numbers. Estimates were up to 1 million. January 3rd, it gets to 3.5 million, and it gets ugly. So to recap, Khamenei said, no more. On January 5th, the court decides that they are no longer showing any leniency, and they're starting to speed up the trial process. January 8th, the night of January 8th, is when they cut off the internet. That's when they cut off the internet nationally. They also cut off phone access internationally. Think about this. You now have no ability to communicate with anyone. So if you go out and protest, you no longer have the option to check in with people. It's bad. January 8th and 9th, the IRGCs start their real oppression. These are stories that I've been saying. This is when they start using live rounds. That's an understatement. There are reports of people who are on top of rooftops from 100 yards away, just unloading whatever they want on whomever they see. This is when they started interrogating people at the hospital. They would show up the guards would show up at the hospital, lock the door so no one can come in, and they would do a sweep of the hospital. So let's think of what that entails. They walk into this hospital. They gather all the nurses, the doctors, the staff. They put them all in a corner. They walk inside and they go room to room. This is the IRGC going room to room to see who was part of the protests. And if anyone was, they take them out back, one in the dome. If they don't, then they take you to jail. We'll talk about jail later. That's just what they're doing in the hospitals. This is supposed to be a safe place. There's also reports of them going inside of malls. I just want you to think about this. This isn't even at night. They are going inside of a mall. They shut an emergency fire they take the emergency exit, they set fire to it. They walk in and they clean house. This is the IRGC doing this to their own people in 2026. And it's not the first time they did this. They did this in 1979 too, when they unalived 470 people in a movie theater. It's the same situation. The IRGC has been attacking their people and has continuously. So continuing, on January 10th, they described the protesters as enemy of God. This is what the government, the prosecutors who are prosecuting the protesters who were arrested, are describing them in court as the enemy of God, which, by the way, according to the Sharia law that's in place in Iran, that is punishable by unaliving. So you protest, you're now an enemy of God, and you're unalived. This is what's happening in Iran. The protests from there kind of dispersed when the government starts using live rounds. They were using, and I have to give them credit, before they just started using straight up live rounds, they were using pellet stuff, bird shot. They were using rubber stuff, rubber pellets. They were using tear gas. They were using water cannons. Fine. Aside from that, during the bird shot opportunity incident, whatever we're calling it, there are 10,000 reported instances of people losing their vision permanently. 10,000 people. Then they start using live rounds after this. We talked about it, but this really happened and is still happening. They are going door to door. If you're part of the protest, there's some areas that have CCTV. They're going door to door in your house. I want you to think of what this seems like. Think about this. You're sitting on your couch. It's 6 o'clock. A month has passed. You're like, your life is as normal as it can be when stuff is dropping on the ground. You're sitting down and knock, and you look through the people of your apartment and you see 15 IRGC members all holding stuff. And at this point today, when it's happening, half of them aren't even your countrymen. They're Iraqi people. So you see these Iraqi and Irani people knocking on your door with arms saying, we're going to come in. What are you going to do? Not open the door? You're on the 14th floor. You're going to go get a kitchen utensil against 15 armed people? You open the door. You let them in. You don't have a choice. Then they come in your house and they ransack it. They're looking for any evidence they can find to show that you were part of the protests. And if they do, yet again, they either unalive you or they arrest you. The internet is still cut out. I posted a video on it. Logic being, well, this is literally what the Iranian government is saying. The Iranian government is saying that if the people have internet, then the Israeli government will know who the people are, and we don't want that to happen because it's dangerous for you. That's what they're telling the people. Yet those guys have internet. The IRGC has internet. The propaganda people that the IRGC hires has internet, but the average people don't. I posted another video. There's hundreds and hundreds of these kids, 13, 14, 15-year-olds who say something that they shouldn't say against the government. There was a 12-year-old person, he's on my story, on the thing. A 12-year-old kid said that he was happy for what happened to Khamenei. They arrested the kid, and they arrested the mother at her job. Picture this. This is your kid. I want you, if anyone here has kids, think of what stupid stuff your kids say on the internet. And now picture if you have to deal with a life sentence because of it. And not only yourself, but your kid does too because they're 12. Oh, and 12 is a magical number because at 12 you're able to go sign up for the IRGC now. And we still haven't even talked about what happens to these people who go missing. These people who go to a protest and don't show up. They go to a protest and they don't come back home. And the reports of those are countless. Pick your number. I really don't want to argue that the reports are much lower. Fine, pick your lowest report. The lowest one I'm seeing is 23,000. Fine, pick that number. That's 22,000 people who went out to protest who didn't come back. The one that always irks me up is there's this mother, she wrote a letter to her daughter. And it was a young mother. Wrote a letter to her daughter and she said, because of your future, sometimes mommies have to go protest for the future of their kids. And when mommies go protest, sometimes they don't come back home. Could you imagine writing that? And that woman didn't come home, for the record. Could you imagine writing that? They care that much about the oppression that they are going to give up being a mother to try to make their kids' life better. And then there's some people who are going to come up. I'm sure it's a Saturday. We're going to have some people come up. And they're going to say, the Iranian people are happy. They love their government. Or the Iranian people, it's their responsibility. Their responsibility to what? They are unarmed. So, to recap, we got a lot more info on the exact dates. Long and short, though, the story doesn't change. The stuff sucks. The people sucks. And the last story of it. Love it? I'm not sure. Someone come up. Anyone come up. Today I wanted it to be a panel. Come up. Come talk to me. But the last thing while we're rating is we didn't talk about the bodies, and we haven't talked about it for a while, and it's absolutely sickening. We have 2 people who went through this. 2 people that I know on a first-name basis who've went through this. One of them was she's an older woman. She lost her house too during these strikes, and she lost her kid. The kid went out and protested. He didn't come back. But the story of what the mother had to do to pick up her kid is what's atrocious. Think about that. Right way, come on. But here's the story as we're waiting for Right Way to muster up the courage. Your son goes out and protests. In this case, in her case, her son went out and protested. And again, we already talked about it. There's no internet. There's no, Estelle, hold on tight, you'll come. There's no internet. There's no cell phone service. So your kid goes out to protest and he doesn't come back home. So that night you obviously don't sleep. That morning you don't sleep. You're calling and calling, but there's no cell phone service. The government shuts it down. They shut down the internet. You have no way of talking. So like, how long are you going to, the anxiety is an understatement. Sometimes people worry about stuff. That's when you really worry. That's like 100% you worry. Your kid doesn't come home after day 1, day 2. At some point, this is your kid. This isn't a wallet that you just say, oh, well, I lost, I'm going to get a new one. It's your kid. And in this case, he was 40. So you want courage. You want closure. So you muster up the courage. To your kids who's missing, you muster up the courage and you go to a local center that has just countless black body bags, zipped. And it's your responsibility with no organization. It's your responsibility to go in there. You look for your own kid with, again, there's no organization. You walk, I just want you to envision this for a second. You haven't slept for 2 days, guarantee. You're a wreck. You're going into this place. Think of what the smell is of 1,000 unalive bodies. You go in there, you walk up to the first one, you unzip it, and you're looking to see if that's your kid. And you're looking around and you see these monsters that did this to your kid. Could you imagine how you'd feel? That's what the parents go through. And so you look after 100, 200, 300, however many bodies it takes. You finally find your kid, if you do. Then you have to claim the kid. They make you do an aired confession saying that it was a T group that did this to your kid. Then they make you pay for the bullet that it took for them to do it. So they make you say, oh, it wasn't them. And then they want you to pay because they're saying that your kid was such a disgrace to the country. He was an enemy of God, that we did a favor to you by taking out your kid away. And you're going to pay us back. It makes me think of like an HOA. Your neighbor didn't cut the grass, the HOA cuts it and then sends the bill. It's like, we did you a favor because you didn't cut your grass. That's how they're viewing the kids. So we have someone waiting. Hi, Sal. What's going on?
Oh, nothing. I was going to say that these government entities, man, they're all in the same club.
Could you elaborate?
Like the people. See, I'm like, at first everybody's like, pro patriot, right? Like I was a Marine, so I was like real patriot, right?
Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. But the people, right? You go see the people, and you see the people online and stuff, and like they're not their government.
They're not their government.
Like the Jewish people, right? They are not the Israeli government.
Fair.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of whatever going on, and it's just not fair for them because they're not the government, and they're all, even Putin, Trump, all of them, they're all in the same club, the Freemasons.
I think you said something really important, Sal, and I appreciate you coming up. The government and the people are not the same. And there's so racism as a whole for the people should be nothing, right?
Yeah, they sew it in. They sew it into their people just so, to keep that division so they don't rise up.
I appreciate it. So thanks a bunch. Is there anything else?
Oh yeah, no, they're just all in the same club, Freemason club,
Thank you very much for your service, Sal.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. He's right. That's a super important message. The government is not the people. All right. Livingston is an IRGC supporter. Let's see why. Oh, I brought Milad. Hi, Milad.
Hey, what's up, man?
Sorry. How are you?
I'm doing alright. Yourself?
I can't complain too much. What's going on?
Oh, nothing. I just didn't agree with the stuff you were saying about like the protesters and about the government.
What didn't you agree about?
About how the government was killing people.
Watch you TikTok friendly language if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Are you Iranian?
I am, yeah.
And have you been to Iran?
Yeah, multiple times.
Your parents speak it? Or live there?
What's that? Yeah, Farsi, yeah.
So you don't think that this is accurate?
Not to like the degree they're saying, like over 40K. That's ridiculous.
What do you
think? In the span of, 3K, like what the, I mean, you got to realize, like, this was a 2 week, 3 week protest, and they're giving Gaza numbers, like Gaza numbers.
Milad,
Like,
you can speak Farsi?
Not fluently. I can get my way around.
Talk to me a little.
سلام چطوری؟
امروز روز چیه؟
امروز؟ Saturday.
امروز چی کار کردی؟ نه فارسی حرف بزن.
زیاد بلد نیستم. رفتم کار، مدرسه.
What part of Iran are your family from?
Tabriz.
Which is where?
North Iran.
Yeah.
Why?
Northwest.
You don't think I'm Iranian?
Well, there's a lot of people who come up pretending to be Iranian.
No.
Your
I mean,
name
my
is
name.
Iranian.
Yeah, my name is Iranian.
So Milad, do you support the IRGC?
Yes, absolutely against people that want to interfere inside the country, that have been interfering over decades. Absolutely.
Then you've been to. When was the last time you went to Iran?
2022, I want to say. Yeah, 2022.
So you went to Iran in 2022. So you saw what the government was like. You didn't have any issues with it?
No, I mean, I never. No. I didn't even deal with anyone. I just, yeah,
What was your airport experience like when you landed?
it was okay. I got my passport checked. Like,
And how
Yeah, nothing.
about when you left?
yeah, nothing, man. Just regular, like it's like any other airport, man. Any other airport.
How did you leave?
What do you mean?
How old are you?
I'm 21.
So how did you leave the country?
I went to Dubai, and then from Dubai to the United States.
No, not so much that. It was more so, did you serve in the military?
No, I didn't.
So how did you leave?
I came here when I was like very young.
No, you're an Iranian citizen, right?
Yeah.
So how did you leave Iran without serving the military?
I'm not sure. I came here when I was like super young.
So Milad, in order to leave Iran, you have to have your military card.
I didn't. I did not serve.
Everyone does.
I know that.
Otherwise
Yeah,
you
I
don't
know.
leave.
It's required. But I did
I'm
though.
saying, how did you leave?
I don't know. I
don't
left.
think you went.
No, I did go.
Milad, there are laws. There are rules. One of the rules is if you're a man over the age of 18, you need your card to Sarbaz. There's no exceptions.
No, I did go.
There's
but I
one.
don't like. I
It
only
might be
stayed for.
applicable, but we
I
don't know
think.
it. Whether
Yeah.
you step foot, they don't let you step foot out, my friend.
No.
Yes,
There's time. There's like limited time you can stay. That's
No,
the thing. Like I
there's
didn't
not.
stay for that long,
Milad, there's not.
bro. Why would I lie to you? I didn't stay that
I
long.
don't know
think
why
there's a
you're
time
lying,
limit.
but you very clearly are lying.
No, I'm not.
Thank you for your time, my friend.
What? No, bro.
So, one of the requirements in Iran that is undebatable is that you have to serve in the military for 2 years if you're a man over the 18, if you want your passport. It's not up for debate. There is one exception, which Milad could have said, and you damn well know what your exceptions are. And this is a shady exception, and it's not always accepted, and that's if you're a college student. If you're a college student, they require a copy of your transcript. I had a cousin, but not by blood. We had a family friend who went with that transcript exception, where at the gate, when they reviewed it, they declined it because it wasn't stamped appropriately or the date was off. So they went back and redid it. Everything was fine. They just like messing with you. So Milad, there is a 0% chance that you went to Iran and then come back without a military card. Period. Now I had someone else come. There's no agree to disagree, my brother.
Look, bro, I don't appreciate how you're just looking for a problem so bad. He told you he has pictures. He told you he literally has pictures. You're fishing for a problem so
I'm
bad,
not
bro.
fishing for a problem, but I am fishing for accuracy, my friend.
How are you
And
gonna
as
tell
someone
him
who's
he didn't
pretty
go?
accurate-
How are you gonna tell him he
listen.
didn't go?
So let me ask you a question.
What?
If you said you're a human, I'd say you need to drink water. And if you said, no, I figured out a way not to drink water, not to drink anything, then I'd say you're not a human if you're surviving. It's a similar bad example, but it's the same thing. There are rules that are
It's
required.
not that insane for someone to be able to travel to the
Livingston.
country and come back, bro.
It is. That's why. So here's my
Oh.
real thing. Why I think it's important. Because I've not met many IRGC supporters who've actually been to Iran, who verified that they've been to Iran, who support it. And that's one example of why he shouldn't like it.
So why don't you support it, bro? Why do you not
I
support
just went through what the IRGC did to their people, and I'm not okay under any circumstances with the government having soldiers up top unloading clips on people below who are protesting.
it? Yeah, that's not okay. But like, a lot of that was like unverified. Like, what's the verified source from that?
There's countless sources, but why don't you tell me why you do support them?
Because I mean, I support the fact that they're fighting like back against America when America unjustly like went there. I support that. I don't know like the ins and outs of like the internal conflicts were different. Like, if you just like don't like your government, then you can do that. But like, you feel me? You like saying the IRGC is not good. Like, they are good people. Like, they're fighting against, you feel me, terrorism. You feel me?
So the IRGC is good because they're defending. Well, okay, before U.S. got involved, why were they good? Were you supportive of them then? And yes, everyone. I'm American. I'm not sure.
Yeah, every government has their problems. Like, I'm not
Does-
Iranian, so I can't tell you like the ins and outs of it. But like, I'm sure there are both sides. There are people that love them. There are people that hate them.
There are
But-
people that like them. 8%.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm saying. As with any government, there's
8%.
opposition. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
92 don't like it. I'm just making sure we're aligned.
okay, how like where's the proof of that?
Iranian International article is of November of 2025. Feel free to look it up.
November 2025.
Yes, sir.
You said only 8% vote.
92% of the government, 92% of the people want to change.
92% don't support the IRGC.
That's why I'm so fascinated that you are, but you're not Iranian, right?
No.
Milad
just given my
claiming it's a fake
perspective-
number, but Milad is also quote fake news, so that's okay.
He's
That's what I was
fake news.
asking. I'm not Jewish.
I feel like if he went to the country and you feel me,
I don't
he
think he
has
did.
all the. Okay, he has the photos though.
Listen, I don't even know you, but if you send me a picture of you, I could have a photo of you and I drinking tea on the moon. We're at that point of society. Photos don't mean anything.
But everything's AI now. Come on, bro. You're just Netanyahu bot, bro. Like, come on, bro.
Apparently, I'm a
You
Netanyahu
working
bot,
for
bro.
Netanyahu, bro. You pushing
Alex,
his
you're
propaganda.
Jewish. What are you saying? I'm not Jewish. I am. But okay, my friend. Thank you for your
I
time.
agree.
Is there anything you want to say other than you don't know much about
Nah,
the
bro,
internal
look, my
politics,
last
but
thing
you
I
like the
wanna
fact
say-
that they're defending themselves against U.S. and Israel, even though that's not the root of the issue here?
My last thing I want to say is, the first things first. I don't like how like you're asserting that he didn't go. I think he went. Second off, if he has photos, he spoke Farsi to you. I don't know how much more
He
evidence.
spoke Farsi very poorly with a very
Netanyahu
bad
fans
accent.
need like I don't know what else you need, bro.
So if I was to rank his Farsi, I would say it was like that of a 1.5-year-old. Like, not great. And he had an accent on specific words.
He told you that though, and
Yeah, but if you had two parents and you've been to Iran multiple times, then in general, your language skills can be higher. And again, we're missing a key detail here. The key detail is I don't know how he left the country unless he got some special rule that doesn't exist, which the military doesn't do. So,
Listen, bro.
Livingston, I appreciate you for coming up, okay?
stop spreading Netanyahu propaganda, bro. Dead ass. For real.
Thank you. Guys, dead ass. He's for real. Okay, we had another one. This is fun. Let's have fun tonight. I'm having fun. Sky 5L. Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Hi.
I ain't gonna lie, my nigga Sam was right. You gotta start spreading that shit.
Okay. Let's watch it with the vulgar speech, but what's your opinion on stuff? What didn't you like that I said?
I ain't gonna lie, everything. I ain't like nothing you said for real.
Okay.
My nigga Lil Sam was right.
Final warning, because I don't like racial slurs.
You pushing propaganda all the
Okay.
way.
Could you define your sources where you think it's propaganda or why you think it's propaganda?
Everything that comes out of his mouth is propaganda, you feel me?
Who is he?
Netanyahu.
Okay, so I'm not listening. None of my sources are from Netanyahu. I have family who is
Where your
currently in
sources
Iran.
from? You said
My
you got
family is
family out
currently in
there?
Iran. They are currently dealing with it. We've lost
What,
two
what they
families.
telling you? What they telling
Correct.
you?
What my family is telling me. Think about it, my friend. If you had family telling you something, you're going to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, right? But you're also going to listen to it, right?
Yeah.
So if this
And
is
what
your
they tell
family
you?
saying it, which part of it? I mean, all of this stuff has been verified by my family. My stepmother is a doctor inside of Iran. My cousins, aunts, uncles, we lost two family friends from this incident. So, like, these are people whose lives are very different, right? So that's who I'm listening.
Yeah.
This is not a Netanyahu propaganda. What's happening in Iran before U.S. and Israel even came was really bad. And when the government, think about this. I'm assuming you live in the United States, right?
Yep.
Picture if the U.S. government went back out and started, not just the police, picture if the military was going to attack you for leaving your house.
Shut that propaganda up. Okay, I ain't gonna lie.
I'm not trying to give you propaganda. I'm trying to have an intelligent conversation with you. And I think you're capable of having one if you're able to be open-minded. This isn't propaganda. I know it sounds like it because it's crazy to think like something like this would happen in today's day and age, but it's very real.
I ain't gonna lie. All that shit sounds like propaganda 5.
Because it's you're right. It sounds like propaganda because there's no way that in the civilized world we allow that to happen. And hence why I'm saying that. Now let me ask you a question. If it is in fact true, let's just go down this path for a second. If it is true, you agree that's horrible, right?
That shit bad, of course.
That, as you said, that shit is bad. Correct. It's really bad. So why don't you do this? If you'd like, I can send you some links, and you can do your own independent research. Even the Iranian government, if we go by Milad or whatever his name is, if we go by his number, they're saying it's 3,000. That's double the average high school in the United States of protesters who are unalived by the government. Is 3,000 okay?
I don't think 50,000 is a real number, though,
But
Jay.
okay, so don't worry about 50,000. Ignore it. Let's say it's 3,000. Do you think 3,000 is okay?
Hell nah.
Hell no. So then if it's
But
3,000 or
we gotta
50,000,
get
what makes
actual
a difference?
evidence of that 3,000.
The Iranian government themselves said it was at least 3,000.
Do they have evidence of that?
They admitted it.
Or are they
Yeah,
just
they have
throwing up
evidence.
numbers?
They admit that's a lot of number that they themselves said that they did. So 3,000 you agree is too many.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
So then you don't even need to worry about don't get tripped up on the 50,000 number. Focus on that 3,000, which to your point you said is already too many. So I'm gonna assign. I don't want to give you homework, but think about that perspective. Don't think about the number. Think about even if it's 5 people. You think it's okay? Think about what would happen. Think about what happened in the U.S. when a police officer unalived a person. One person. We're talking 3,000 people by the military. Military is way worse than the police. Police is supposed to enforce rules. Military is supposed to protect you, right?
Yep.
So anyway, well, hey, I appreciate you coming up. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Milad's Farsi is exactly like my Ebonics. Thank you. Red. The U.S. police unalive 1,000 per year. That's a lot. Oh no, not Rick again. I know. And Rick sent me some, Rick, I'm telling you, I think you like me. I think you like me. Thank you, Brad Keith. Number says it all. Chat, not going your way today, huh? Browser, I don't care what the chat says. You can come up and talk to me. Anyone except Rick. Rick's not allowed to come talk to me. I saw protesters with weapons. Milad, clearly you didn't see him when you went to Iran because you didn't go to Iran, but that's okay. Thank you guys for the follows. It was fun. Thanks. Thanks, Jason. Musad agent. Dikana Mzua. Come up and talk to me. Today, I want it to be a very interactive day. Come talk to me. MM, thank you for the lives. Rick is giving obsessed. Should we play that song? You remind me of my brother. Your brother must be a really good looking guy. Smart, sharp, witty. Thank you, MM. Grumman. من فارسی حرف بزنم. لهجه هم ندارم. یه خورده میتونم بخونم. آره دیگه. من فارسی بلدم. Milad, I'm not going to add you back. I would define you as fake news. Shah, that proves nothing. It just proves that I speak Farsi without an accent. I have an American accent when I say, if anything. I just wish the U.S. Americans would know what the truth is. Barbara, that's such a good thing. Let me repeat what you said. Barbara said, I just wish us Americans would know what the truth is. It's also confusing. It totally is. 100%. But let me try to paint a picture for you for a second. Unfortunately, the news is so skewed. It is. On damn near every angle of it. The news is made to bring clicks. So they don't have much incentive to tell you a true story that's boring, right? So I think that's the first piece. The second piece is propaganda is very real. What we've seen, which I try to uncover, is people who support the IRGC, for example. Why? What do you know about it? What do they do good? Well, a couple people said, I think they did good that they defend themselves. Okay, fine. Defending yourselves is good. What about before that? So I guess my point, Barbara, is if you want to go on, just go on Iran's side. Go what the Iranian government is saying. And take what they're saying at face value. It's far worse. But if we just go by that number, that 3,000 people, yeah, protests got rowdy and we had on live 3,000 people. Is that okay? And if you use just that as your data point, fine. But Barbara, I think your best thing you can do is what you're doing. Talk to real Iranian people who are actually inside Iran. And I'm starting to see some who can sneak out through VPN and actually talk to you, who are unquestionably Iranian. You have to interrogate some people. Maybe 30% of the guests who come up pretend to be Iranian, but very clearly aren't. So I think, Barbara, you're doing the right thing by being curious. And I'm not even asking you to take what I'm saying at face value. I'm asking you at least let me be an opinion that you research. You'll come back with your own. It's not okay, Darlene. It's not okay. You're absolutely right. Sorry, Milad. Not letting you back up, my buddy. They are the only army that supports Palestine. So, Ray, they're the only, I would say they're funding a lot of those T groups, but I want to be careful with the army. Well, I guess you can call the IRGC an army, but because it's important to note that Iran has two militaries. They have the Artish that's been around forever. And then in 1980, they created the Sepah. In 1980, this government said that, okay, we have an army to protect the people. We need a army, we need a military to protect the regime from change. Hence the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They support everything with Palestine and funding Palestine. I shouldn't even say everything with Palestine. They support the funding of the H groups and the other local T groups. And so it makes sense to me that some Palestinians would be pro-IRGC because their resistance force is funded by them. But then I would ask, logically speaking, I understand that from a Palestinian's perspective, I understand they support the resistance group. And I understand that they wouldn't want the money to be cut to the resistance group. But that doesn't mean that you can't say that the IRGC is not good. Hey, look, I'm not Palestinian, but if I put on a Palestinian hat, I think it's fair to say I appreciate the IRGC giving the resistance group money. But the IRGC is a T group, and they're really bad to their people. That's a very fair statement to say from the hat of a Palestinian. Okay. You have never lived in Iran. Moo Kristen, would you like to come talk to me? Because I have. I spent my summers in Iran. A lot of them. 16, 17 summers in Iran. So I'd argue that I did live there. Not just once, too. I say this every night, but I feel like someone who just stays somewhere for 3.5 years didn't live there as much as someone who spent 3.5 years going there once a year for 17 years. For 2-3 month stints. So, Moo, I'm going to pretend that was a question, and I hope I answered it. Okay, you're Israeli for sure. So, I'm not. Support Iran, IRGC from America. No, you shouldn't support the IRGC from America. People who say they need to in order to stay alive. The people say what they need to in order to stay alive. King, you're so right. Hence why those people, when they would pick up the unalived bodies of their loved ones who went out on protest, had to go on camera with an aired confession. You do what you need to. Put me on. Powered by the Beast. You're more than welcome to request stuff, but be professional. As an Iraqi American, I love the IRGC. I'd be curious to hear why N55 Gruber. First of all, the N55 is one of my favorite engines. I like the N54 more. N55 is my second favorite engine, though. So come up and talk to me. We could talk about your cool BMW, too. Makes no sense. Good try. Well, Doc, I don't expect everyone to have a high IQ. Statistically speaking, there needs to be a bell curve. Can y'all go to Coach's 2.0 live? Tammy, what's Coach saying? They don't support. Okay. So you support the U.S. invasion of Iran. Inquiring as you just citizen, because I'm confused. So I wouldn't call it an invasion, Jade. Thank you. I wouldn't call it an invasion. I'd call it an attack. I support the byproduct of it. How about that? Like, I don't like the infrastructure getting hit. I don't like the threatening of the power plants. I don't like how the people's lives have been displaced. I was reading some statistics. It was saying 90% of the Iranian people have not been going to work since February 28th. So that's not good for the economy. Food prices are 10x high. Medicine is 10x high. Like, I don't like those. But one of the side effects of this is that the IRGC is being weakened. And I do like that side effect. So yes, from an Iranian's perspective, we don't like what's happening, but we understand that it kind of needs to happen, and because of that, it's okay that the IRGC is being weakened. So, Moo, it's no one else's job. Okay, let's see what Zach's saying. Hey, Zach, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, man? I was just listening to your live. So I got a couple questions, and I'm largely within agreement of what you're thinking. But with everything going on in Iran, do you think it would have been more beneficial if the United States were to do this or do something back around the time of the protests in January versus now?
That's a really good question that I haven't been asked. The people were waiting for U.S. to come and do something. And their morale at one point, they went from loving Trump to saying, what the hell, Trump? To now being like, okay, thank you, Trump. So I think that had they done it sooner, it probably would have been good. Here's the thing, though, Zach. I don't know why they didn't. Was this because, was there time needed to prep? Like, I don't know what was happening behind closed doors.
I've largely heard it's because of the excursion in Venezuela.
The detour.
Yeah, yeah. But they weren't ready for it, and they were doing stuff in Venezuela, and that's why they weren't. Because that was around the time when Trump started saying help is on the way and so forth, and then it took forever. And yeah.
Fair. In fact, just to add on that, I heard something very similar. They said that the reason we went and got Venezuela up is so that we could have that oil influx, so that when we go to Iran, we're not as heavily impacted by the oil prices because we just got this newly acquired Venezuelan oil.
Yeah.
So, what you said.
Yeah, and then secondary, like, so I have a contact in Iran, and obviously I've been very, I'm friends with her, and I've been very concerned, and obviously, you know, they have little to no internet, so like, and hardly anybody that's not a supporter of the main government can get out of Iran right now.
Correct.
And, but, so I want change. I want her to be happy. I want the people to be happy there. I don't want oppression. I don't want any of that. And just like you said, I'm definitely not in support of. I mean, Iran has such a rich history. I encourage anybody who thinks they know something about Iran, but has only heard it on the media or so forth, to do research, to watch documentaries, to really see Iran's true past, and realize, at least in my point of view, I don't want people, I don't want infrastructure being damaged. I don't want the Iranian history being damaged.
For sure.
And I just want people to be happy. And so for people that are, you know, my point, there shouldn't be people cheering to destroy Iran, because that's not the right thing to do at all, and so forth. And on the flip side of things, people that are supportive of the Iranian government should realize that there are a certain amount of people that are being oppressed. But anyway, sorry, going on a rant.
Sure. No, listen, Zach, I think we're on the same page here. I don't think hitting the power is good. The people are going to hurt more than the government was, right? And I don't think hitting the cultural sites is good. So everything you're saying is logical to me. And I really hope that your friend in Iran stays safe, and I hope one day you're able to go visit them.
Yeah, I hope so too. And the other thing, the final thing, just, and I really haven't expressed this, but it's annoying to me. There is a certain set amount of, I mean, which, what my point, my opinion, what's happened in Gaza is absolutely horrible. And I was against everything that's happening there. But there's a certain amount of people that are pro Palestinian that have denied the amount of people that have been unalived in Iran. And that's, you know, I don't think that's right. But anyways, I just want to say that as well.
I kind of tried to hit on that point, Zach. It was like, I understand that the Palestinians support their resistance group, some, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that their resistance group is heavily funded by the IRGC. So it makes sense to me, if you like your resistance group, then you like the ones who are keeping them alive financially. But at the same time, I think you hit the nail on the head. At the same time, I think they should be able to say, yeah, but the people who are giving us money are not good people, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach, I really appreciate you coming up, man.
Yeah, you take care, man. See you.
Thanks, you too. Okay, put me up here, Power Browser Beast. Listen, Browser Beast, I invited you, so I hope you're going to be polite. Hello.
How's it going?
I'm well. How are you?
Not bad. I'm gonna be as respectful as I can. It's
Okay.
a lot of stuff that you're saying. I'm Palestinian. I was born in the West Bank. My wife is from Gaza.
Okay.
Okay, and technically, Hamas hasn't been funded by Iran since they became government. Iran, don't get me wrong,
When did Iran last give money to them?
over 20 years. Ever since Hamas became government, Iran discontinued helping them.
Okay.
And they fund Hezbollah and they fund the Houthis. And don't get me wrong,
So, okay, so you're
reason
saying
they
Iran is
stopped-
not funding them?
they're not. And the reason they're not is because Hamas declined to kill other Muslims.
TikTok friendly language, otherwise they'll kick out.
I'm sorry, Hamas declined to unalive other Muslims, okay? And Iran has a lot of, like Hezbollah and Houthis, they've been slaughtering a lot of Muslims. Don't get me wrong, they'll slaughter Christians and stuff like that, but technically Hezbollah, and the Houthis are funded by Iran.
So I have some sources, and I more so yours. Do you trust the Times or Reuters?
Yeah, I trust my personal experience.
Because the Times is saying that 222 million was given between 2014 and 2020.
From Iran?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe that. Israel created Hamas
And then
to fight
Reuters.
against the PLO. Initially, the creation of Hamas happened to fight against the Palestinian Liberation Organization.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
that's fine.
and
So for the sake of the discussion,
Israel
Yeah, for-
funded Hamas.
okay. So for the
And
sake
they
of this
fund-
discussion, okay. Yeah,
Let me just finish this. Israel funneled money through Qatar, to send money to Hamas, so they're not directly giving money to Hamas.
Okay.
In order to keep them in
Browser,
check.
I'm gonna for the sake of the discussion, because I don't want to get lost in the details. I'm just okay. So Iran hasn't. Time says they have, but you're saying they haven't, and you've been there, so fine. Okay, so they've not been getting money. So then why do you support the IRGC?
It's not necessarily I support it. It's I'll be honest with you. It's there again. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Do you care about people?
Yes, but I honestly, everybody says Iran is worse than Israel, and I don't see how the hell they say that. I don't see how anybody can compare that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna leave that alone because everybody, for some reason, is brainwashed for Israel's nutsack. But realistically, Israel is committing a genocide for the past couple of years. They're blaming it on October 7th.
Okay,
which
hold on,
everybody
because we've now gone super far in the weeds. Let me reel you back for a second.
I wanted to clarify that Iran is not funding
Okay,
Hamas. And
so
Hamas,
we've moved from that. I'm saying okay, but now my question is, or was that your only point that you wanted to come up?
no. I mean, my thing is like I asked a couple people in the chat, who's worse, Israel or Iran, and everybody's trying to say Iran, and I'm just curious on how they think that. And I do have some friends in Iran, in Iraq, Turkey. Palestinians scattered everywhere. And We stayed. I'm from Mukhayyam, Colombia. It's a refugee camp over there. I was actually born there, and But my whole thing is America doing, attacking Iran right now. What makes it different than Iraq?
Okay,
and
browser
Libya?
the beast. I'm gonna reel us back in, man, and let's try to stay on task here, okay? So I heard you out, and I want to recap just so that you make sure. You're saying that Iran did not give you guys money. Fine, no problem.
They did. They used
Back
to.
then.
Fuck
Moving on.
that.
Money gone. It's not an issue. My
They
question
used
is,
to. But
you're
once
saying
it
you
became
hate
government, they
I'm
no longer
listen to me
trouble.
for a second. I gotcha. I'm saying fine. I want to talk about the current issue for a second. So you're saying you support an enemy of an enemy. That makes sense to me. You're saying I hate Israel. You, right? Therefore, the IRGC hates Israel, so we're friends. An enemy of an enemy is a friend. That's what you're saying. Is that
Pretty
fair
much.
to summarize?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, you hate Israel because of presumably what happened in Gaza?
Not just Gaza. This
One of
started,
them.
like I said, I was born in a kid. At 9 years old, I got, I was.
I want like 5 seconds stories so that I can try to get to my point.
Okay.
Because let's have a conversation. So is that fair? One of the reasons you don't like Israel is Gaza.
Gaza. I mean, it is, but it's not just Gaza. It's the West Bank. It's the whole Palestine situation.
Okay.
What's your actual question?
My question, I'm more so trying to get at that whatever the Israelis did to Gaza is not that different than what the IRGC has done to their own people, just at a different
whole lot
scale.
different.
At a different scale.
Yeah, that makes it a lot different when the scale is a lot different.
So your concern here. So basically, if Israel only, I don't want to turn it into Israel and Palestine debate. I don't want to turn it into debate. I really just want you to understand that if whatever number you take, which based on your news, you're probably going to say 3,000 people from Iran, protesters, got unalived, and you're saying, well, 3,000, that's not good, but it's not my problem. That's fair.
I mean, for the most.
I didn't mute you.
Sees all that news and everything. Just like, for example, like in Libya, these are created protests, and the government literally pinpoints who it is.
So I don't want to talk about Libya. I'd like to talk about Iran, if that's okay.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to say, that's Mossad and CIA. That's doing the
Iran,
protest.
3.5 million people on the
That's
street
pushing.
is
No,
Mossad and
that's
CIA.
pushing. They're creating it. Yes. How can I say it? These protests and encouraging them and building people up, just like Trump told all the Iranians to go up in the street. Trump told all the Iranians to go out in the street, and then when they get killed, he does nothing.
Yeah.
He told them to do that. That's the same thing the CIA and Mossad does to overthrow governments. They've done it numerous times that's why I keep throwing other countries out.
Okay, now I'm just, the protesters were Iranian or they were Mossad and CIA?
I believe it was created by Mossad and CIA to encourage the Iranians to try to overthrow their government. The government said, fuck that, excuse my French, sorry, said, forget that, we're killing anybody who's there. And yes, that's wrong. I'm not saying that's right, but realistically, it's pushed and encouraged by the opposition.
Okay.
And then to top it off, like
No,
everybody.
fine. You're saying it was influenced. Influence is a different story than 3.5 million Mossad agents on the street.
I mean, 3.5 million to be honest. Do you know how big that number is?
Yeah. a big
3.5
number.
million
Yep.
to be in the
About
streets.
4% of the population, 4.25.
And so if 3,000 people out of 3.5 million got killed, that's 0.01%.
What's your number?
I'm sorry.
First of all, 3,000 is, I'm trying to be sensitive to your news picking, right? Because you like some news, but you don't like others. So I'm trying to be flexible with your news picking because you don't like the New York Times, but you
No, it's not necessarily I don't like them. I don't pay attention to actual news.
You don't pay attention to them. Yeah. So, okay. Hey, man. Okay.
I'm just
So
saying,
3,000,
a lot of people, you're saying the Iranian people are all for the U.S. attacks and invasion or whatever you want to call it. The Iranian people, if you really sit back and look at it, how much of the U.S. population right now doesn't like their administration?
Probably not 92%.
I don't believe that number. I'll be honest. But as of right now,
Yeah, I forgot. The news is hard.
You can easily, you forgot. Kusuftek.
Yeah, modern gender, same thing.
Botam Sasli.
Yeah, kosam to kiram to the animal.
Yeah. See, you know Hebrew too. That's
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
fun.
that's Hebrew. That's Hebrew. Yeah, yeah. There's my favorite Hebrew saying. It's the Hanamana service carry. You know, and it means like, thank you for the opportunity to become friends.
You know, like I said, I'm just saying right now in America, out of 330 million people, how many million people are not happy with our administration?
Not 92%, but that's
Not
American.
92%, but it's more than the population of Iran combined. Iran's population is what, 92 or 96 million?
92,
Something
92.
around. Yeah, so if 50% of the U.S. doesn't like our administration, that's still almost double the whole population of Iran.
Different scale. Hey, Mrs. Browser Beast, I really appreciate you coming up. You really enlightened me. I think the takeaway here is that I need to learn. I need to, like, the news and the media here. I need to.
It's one-sided. The three biggest three corporations own all of our media here,
Right.
so it's all one-sided.
Yeah,
But-
it's what's, and I think it's important that you kind of pick and choose which statistics you like for the narrative, because it makes it much easier to
You're
debate.
trying to reverse and make it seem as if I'm not paying attention.
No, I wasn't trying to make it not like you were paying attention. I was just trying to make you realize.
As far as news, if you look at outside news, outside of the Western media, anybody that I guess.
Do you trust Australian news?
For the most part.
Great. Then look at them. They're great. And then if you
But
trust Australian
Australia-
news, my numbers.
Australia, if you want to go to
They'd be alive.
Australia, they just had 5 false flags with Israelis. Go look at that. That's Australia, buddy.
5.
Yeah, you see, you brought up Australia. 5
No,
false
I did bring up
flags.
Australia. Yeah, I think it's great.
Google that right
Browser,
now, and they will tell you.
we have
there's
another
5
gentleman who's
false
been very
flags.
patient. So I'm going to bring him up. I appreciate you. Have a great day, okay?
Hey, don't leave. I don't want that guy to leave. Hey, we support Trump, and Trump just said that Israel, with all their flaws, you have to understand that they pushed you back. Israel has a right to defend themselves. I support Trump 100%. I'm American. I support America 100%. There's nothing you can say that's going to change my mind. If my president says that we need to annihilate you, that's what we're going to do. If you're in there and you're trying to destroy Iranian people and their freedom, and you're trying to convert their children at 13 years old to the military complex to build missiles or do whatever, because you got to have the young people. You got to have the stupid people to come over there. You don't understand. I agree with my president. If my president said right now that we have to do whatever we have to do, that's what we're going to do. That's what I agree with. I'm America first. And whatever that asshole that was just dropped down, do you really think that we give a shit about you? If you support another country over America first, if you support another country over America, what does that make you if you're within America? If you're against America, I'm not for you. You're a traitor, you're a treasonous, everything else. We're going to block the Strait of Hormuz. If we left right now and Israel took out Carr Island, do you think we give a shit? We're getting more oil out of this right now. The oil that we're getting in America, we're making money. We're making so much money. You go ahead and be idiots and you go against your people of Israel, of Iran. You go against your people because right now America's making money. We don't give a shit about you. Keep doing what you're going to do. We're going to take you out one by one. We don't care.
Literally, now listen. I'm trying to be as fair as I can. I totally understand your view, and I found someone who is completely.
Hey, Alex, I have a question for you.
And I think for the sake of the panel,
I'm not playing jump monkey games. I have a question for you. You answer my question, I'll talk to this guy.
He's an American.
You answer my question, I'll talk to this guy. Mute him
He's
for a second.
sympathetic against American people. So Rick is sympathetic. You know what we call you in America, Rick? We call you a traitor. We should
Alex,
deport
where's the
you.
92% number come from?
If you don't
said it a bunch of
support
times. Where's it come
America,
from?
Iranian
we should
International.
we should deport you to whatever country you support, Rick. We need to deport.
You want to pay for my flight to China? I'm going there anyway. But like again, where does that number come from?
Where do we get the funding for you? We want to send you whatever country
send it to my
you
Cash
want.
App.
It's a one-way
Send it to my
ticket.
Cash App. It's money sign this loud is fire.
You know what? What's so great is Trump
I promise
right
I will
now,
use it all to go to China.
$600. It's $600 to get rid of your citizenship right now in America.
It's
And Trump will
$2,500
give
last
you
time I
how
checked.
much money to be deported to whatever country you want after that. So I'll give you $600. You lose your citizenship. We'll deport you to whatever
Awesome.
country you want.
Cool.
And get the
Alex,
fuck
answer my
out.
question,
Don't
though. I wanna
come
know where
back
these
to
numbers come from.
America. We don't like you.
Because the only polling number I've seen
you're
for
a
Iran is
blunder
an
on
institute called the
America,
Dahlman
Rick.
Institute, right?
We don't
Why are you
want
still
you in
yapping?
America.
What, bro? Shut up.
We don't want you.
Why
Rick.
are you still yapping,
You're a scumbag.
bro?
You probably burned
what
the
is the
American
point
flag.
of this?
Whatever enemy you want to stand with, let's just send you to whatever enemy you want to stand with. And
Bro,
you go over there
look at
and
my
don't come
look
back.
at my content right now.
We don't want
Look
you,
at my
Rick.
content and see what it is.
You're a
guys are both
scumbag to
The
America.
last like 4 months,
great
all of my
day.
content
You're
is
a
me in
freaking
Vietnam and China.
scumbag. We
So like, I
don't
don't
want
know
you,
what
Rick.
your like this threat is. The U.S. is a shithole.
Rick, the Iranian International, in case you didn't hear me. Okay.
Iranian International.
Yes, sir.
Who funds that? I've not seen it. I've looked up this number. I've tried to look up the polling on support for the IRGC. The only institute I found that gave me even close to number for 92% was the Gaman Institute, run by a guy in the Netherlands, right? And his methodology is to use online polling through VPNs only.
So here's the Iranian International thing. So what's your issue? You're saying that the polling is insufficient.
The polling is done through only people who have VPNs, and it's done in conjunction with the VPN providers.
Okay. So it's
like not like the average Iranian can't even get to that without breaking the law to do the poll. So like how is that
how do you think
polling?
how do you think they get to Instagram to Facebook?
Right. But like here's the thing: not everybody does that. Obviously.
No, that's why it's a strong data point, right? So let me ask you one other question though, Rick. So then what news agency do you trust? Maybe I'll research that. And I'm not even being smart, Rick.
I mean, there are like a bunch of different numbers that go around every time there's any poll. But what I'm asking you is why should I trust numbers that are done that way?
So why don't you
do
tell
random
me what...
internet polls? It's like as effective as a Twitter poll. You're citing a Twitter poll, basically.
Okay. So,
like,
yeah, Rick.
It's laughable.
What news agency do you trust?
What news agency? I don't trust any news agency blindly. I look at the data. I look at how the methodology of a study is done. So when you look at a polling number, you don't just say like, "Oh, I trust this. I trust because it was put out by Reuters or whatever." No, you look at the methodology of the study, right? You say, "How is this poll conducted?"
Okay. So Rick, how do you? Let's pretend that you now own a media company. Rick, we have Rick's media company. It's the second largest in the world. Because listen, with a beard like that, there's no way.
Media companies aren't the ones who do polling institutions.
Let's say that you want to have you're the media company and you want to hire a polling company. And you know what? Fine, you're right, Mick. We're talking semantics. You own a polling company. How are you going to poll people inside Iran?
The same way you usually do. You do face-to-face interviews. You do a combination of face-to-face interviews, telephone polling, online polling, and then you adjust it from different sources, right? You adjust it according to the demographics
So
of the
Rick,
country.
let's break it down. No,
that's how polling works.
Rick, let's break it down. So the first thing you said is in person. Obviously, as an American, we can't do that, right?
Well, of course you can. I'm like, of course, like they have in-person polling that they do in Iran. Like,
so you
up until, I mean, not right now, obviously, this is like a war going on. But up until very recently,
Rick,
we could tell.
Rick, bear with me. We want to do an in-person polling to ask people if they are okay or not okay with their government inside Iran as an American.
And you're going to say that they're lying, right?
No, I'm going to say that how is the government going to allow you to set up a poll?
They have polls like this exist.
You don't have
polls like this exist. In fact, when you look at the methodology for the poll I was just talking about, the Gaman Institute poll, it says It says, let me finish my sentence, bro. No,
There's
I'm
no
not
need
playing this shit. You interrupt every single sentence of the last guy. I'm going to finish my sentence and you can talk, okay?
Yeah. Because
Right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
in life,
exactly.
we talked like this to my 4-year-old.
Exactly.
In life, by
No, but
demanding
because this
stuff,
last guy, when he came up, you let him rant and rant and rant. You
I
didn't
was
interrupt him not
laughing.
once. The
I
second
can
I
sit
started
back and
talking
laugh
about,
again if you'd like.
the second
It
the
was
last
funny.
guy before him started talking about Zionism, you interrupt him. Right? It's a tactic.
Yeah.
This
No,
is
that's fair.
sophistry.
That's
I'm
fair.
very, very attuned to how propaganda works and how sophistry works on this app because I've been doing this for 6 fucking years. Okay, I've talked to a lot of diaspora about a lot of different shit. As a communist on the internet, you talk to a lot of gusanos, right? And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, trust this
Okay,
guy.
but you're now
he knows what
leaving,
he's
so let's
talking
go,
about,
because
right? Like,
now-
it's
now we're
Americans are
45 seconds
gullible as
until I
shit.
have to interrupt you. So, do you wanna get your point? Because we were talking about how you can't pull in Iran, and then you turned
You
into
can pull in Iran,
whipping, trying
but
to.
they didn't pull in Iran to get the numbers you're looking at, is what I'm saying.
Rick, I'm asking you how you can actively pull in Iran to see if
The
people
same
like
way you
the
pull in
government or not.
any other fucking country. You
If
think
it's
it's
free
magic
of
special country?
Yes.
The
I think
but
that
polling
not
magically
having
works
freedom of
differently
speech-
because it's Iran? Because that's the argument this guy makes. Is that because it's Iran, we have to like come up with an entirely different methodology that is not like applicable to anywhere else. Is that your argument? Iranians are magic and special, and that polling should be done differently there.
Do I have your permission to talk on my live? I just want to make
Yeah, I'm asking you a question.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you. First, let me start by saying thank you for the opportunity to talk. Secondly, I would like to say, Rick, there is no freedom of speech there. That means if the people say
There's no
something
freedom of
bad-
speech anywhere. That's not a thing that exists anywhere on the fucking planet Earth. It is a nonsense liberal talking point, right? Freedom of speech. When we had protests here in America, 11,000 people were arrested during the Black Lives Matter protests.
I hate the government.
No, you don't. You love the U.S. government. Why are you lying?
I'm just waiting to come get arrested now because if I did that in Iran, I really would.
That's so fucking laughable. This is laughable bullshit. It's laughable bullshit.
I know.
The people say the same thing about China. I spent 3 months in China. That doesn't happen there. Lots of people hate the government. Lots of people hate the government in lots of places. Like, and people do get arrested in the U.S. for doing anything against the government. They get assassinated. Look what happened to like Fred Hampton. Look what happened to Malcolm X. Look what happened to Huey P. Newton, to MLK.
We're now
There's lots of
talking
people who
about-
speak
I
out
just-
against the government and
I
get
just want you to-
assassinated.
I just want you to understand. We were
For it.
talking about how we can actively pull inside Iran.
Yeah,
Now
like
you
any
got-
other normal country.
Rick, now
Like
we're
any
talking,
other normal country.
final warning. Now we're talking about MLK. Do you understand why you need some rails here?
No, because it's relevant. What the thing that I said was relevant to the conversation, was it not? You are claiming that people can speak out against the government and nothing happens to them in the United States. That's a lie. And I can prove that because of historical figures that have been killed for it, right? That seems obvious. You make the connection now? Is that off topic somehow?
Rick, would you like to finish about how we can talk? Like your blood pressure is way too high. I'm literally concerned about your well-being. Can we lower our blood pressure and let's have a real talk on how we can pull? You're the CEO of a polling
Yeah,
company.
I answered this question 3 times. Stop acting like I didn't.
Okay, Rick. I think
Why are you acting like I didn't answer the question?
Rick, I literally haven't tapped in a week, and you're gonna make me tap today. Rick, I'm at you. You cannot pull whether you like the government or not in a country where you don't.
Of course you can.
You literally.
Okay, you know how they do this? Okay, here's another methodology that they've used. This one that New York Times used in China, making the same argument you did. What you do is you make a poll that has a bunch of different options, right? And this is a more accurate way of doing it. If you really think that there's repression, you make a poll and there's a list of things. It'll say, like, I think cookies are delicious. I think bacon is disgusting. I don't like the government. And then the next question's like, oh, I think that like Rihanna Grande is like a great singer, right? Like, etc. You have a bunch of different options. And you say, how many of these things do you agree with, right? And then you have some without the anti-government stuff in, and then you compare the numbers across the two
Yes,
methodologies.
That is how polls work.
This is one of the ways that they work in repressive governments. What they try to do, they didn't do that in these studies that you're citing. They did an online poll based on VPNs. That's it.
Hey, Rick, you know what? I think the chat today learned a lot about polling, and we learned a lot about MLK, and we learned a lot about free speech. I really appreciate you coming out.
Right. Free speech is not real.
Okay. it's always good to have different opinions. And I'm glad we had our special guest Rick back on. And I did enjoy the 2 minutes of chaos. Guilty pleasure. That all being said, let's talk about polling for a second because I think it's very important. I'm requesting to go up. I have to go to sleep soon. Okay. Bear with me for a second. Let me talk about polling. Polling is, look, the data of polling is never going to be concrete. The best way to do polling would be in person, for sure, logically. The issue is there is legitimately no free speech inside Iran. Quite literally, if I just did what I did there, there is a real chance that I'd have a punishment. So you cannot go open up a poll house. First of all, as an American, you can't even get in without crazy visas. Then you can't open a poll house and poll Iranian people asking if they'd like change in their government. That is a good way to get unalived. So in person, there's no way, and there's no coding it. You're not going to cheat the system and be like, well, read the first sentence, read the first letter of each word to make the real answer. Like, people aren't going to get it. So you can't poll that way. You can't do telephone polls. Telephone calls can be recorded. People aren't going to speak freely. You can do internet ones. Can't do public internet ones. Your VPN could be tracked. Your IP could be tracked. They've proven that they've tracked your IP. People are getting arrested. Kids, 12-year-old kids are being arrested for commenting on things from their own home. The only way you can do it is VPN. Now, your point, Rick, is how accurate is that data? Because the only people who are able to vote for it are people who are technologically savvy enough to get into a VPN. That's a more fair point. That would have been something interesting to debate or chat about. But instead, we ended up talking about other stuff. That's okay. Maybe next time. All right. Someone wanted to come up and had 2 minutes. Who was it? Bizarre. My blood pressure did not go up today. All right. We will go in. We'll go first come, first serve. Hello, Kane.
How are we doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I find 90% of this to be very comedic.
Okay.
I've been to Afghanistan. I had literally lived in Afghanistan for 2 years. All right. No, I do not speak Farsi. And I have seen what your neighbor does to your neighbor. I understand what the government does to those who don't believe and what they don't do to those who concede.
Okay.
And I think 90% of what you have going on here with half these people have never witnessed death. I have. I have seen it. I've seen
I'm assuming you served?
Child. I did. I was a medic. And I have seen it. And any death for any cause is wrong, in my opinion.
Agreed.
It should never have to get that far.
Totally agree.
And those that think a voice matters, it only matters when you're winning. And it takes those that do not have to raise up in those multitudes to change the opinion. And when enough is enough, in the way I view it.
Kane, I think you should be a politician. You speak like one. And that was a compliment.
This is my first time ever on anything live.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming out. So, Kane, first of all, thank you for your service. You were a medic in Afghanistan. I'm sure you saw some stuff. You're right.
I had 22 personnel mass cal in my second deployment within 1 week.
That doesn't sound very fun.
No.
So, I'm assuming you don't support the Iranian government then?
I do not. Any oppression is wrong.
Can I? You probably have a unique perspective, Kane. Now, I'm sure you've probably seen some both sides, and I'm sure it was probably really tough in your position. But you went into Afghanistan. Presumably, some of the people, the actual civilians, were friendly towards you.
Amazing. They were amazing. They would give me the food off their fucking plate. They did that. They gave me chaiwali tea. They gave me everything. I can't say how accommodating they were. I could not.
Yeah. And Kane, the people were not the government, right? The people were not the ones
No,
who
they
fighting.
were not.
And I think that's important for people to realize. Right? Hey, Kane, I really appreciate you coming up here, and I hope to talk to you again.
If you want it, yes.
sure.
I think people should have a better understanding of what they preach, if living there or not. When you're on the outskirts of a dictatorship, if you will, because that's the way it works in a lot of areas like this, the dictatorship doesn't reach the outlying. It's just a bunch of random hearsay or what I believe. And there is always room for error, and there is so much more room for error that most people don't understand. And it is very frustrating because I believe everybody deserves the right to live, the free speech, to live the way they want, no matter their religion.
100% agree, Kane, with everything you're saying. People are people.
100%.
Right? So, do you have a view of the IRGC?
I don't believe that they have the best outcome for their people. This has been since the 1980s that we've had a treaty, if you will, and the IRGC 100% disregards that. Now, I'm not that old. I mean, I'm older than most, I guess, from what I'm hearing. But when you agree to something, you agree to something. And you must maintain that until the end of whatever that is. If that puts your people in a... I'm not sure how to say it. If it deposes your people, if it degrades your people, you shouldn't do it.
100%.
And what the IRGC has done, what they intend to do, if you will, I am from the U.S. Obviously, I served in the military. I do not believe that. I believe everything is tainted with truth. And the best you can do is be yourself. And what the golden rule? That's the best I could give anybody. It's the golden rule. And most people are lied to in those governments. And it is... I went for hundreds of miles without ever seeing a soul in fucking Afghanistan, and they were so scared that they had to listen in order to stay alive. And it is disheartening to say I've seen women and children killed.
They're going to give me a warning, my friend.
Sorry, women and children
Yeah, I got you.
unalive.
It's all right.
I'm sorry, like I said, it's my first
No,
time.
it's okay.
I'm trying to...
Yeah, no, it's a lot. Yeah. I'm sure you've seen some stuff. And Kane, I think it's super important. And you're not the first that I've talked to. In fact, most people who I talked to actually served. What they get to the point where they're like, guys, what are we talking about? People are people, right? They deserve freedom, right?
They
Are
do.
you going to the bathroom, Kane?
No.
You sure? It's okay. Okay.
Pacific Northwest. It rains all the time here. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
No problem, buddy. Anything else, Kane?
No, I just... Free thinkers. I mean, don't take anything with a grain of salt.
For sure. Hey, Kane, I really appreciate you, man. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you, Alex.
Take care, buddy. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Kane. Thank you for your service and for everything. I appreciate it. All right, we have a lot of people in queue today. All right, next up is Dallas. Hey, Dallas, how's it going?
Hey, Alex. Thanks for letting me come on.
Sure.
Coming up after Kane, kind of interesting. I have a similar backstory. I did a couple tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I wasn't medic. I was intelligence, but I lived very close. At one point, I lived in an Afghani village doing stabilization operations over there. So I got a work with them and meet them Farsi or visit them.
Yeah, you do.
A little bit.
Sure.
I'm not great, but I can understand it. And, you know, coming from the intelligence background, I'm retired now, so I don't do it anymore, but I got to get a lot of firsthand information. And what, you know, I see a lot of people who come in and 2 months ago, they couldn't even point Iran on a map. And they have opinions, they have a lot of opposition to what they see going on, but they don't understand the full backstory. And I really appreciate you sharing the history of Iran, you know, all the way back into the 1920s and progressing, because that's really important to understand what's going on. This war didn't start a month ago or 50 days ago. It's been going on really since '79, you know, with the revolution and everything that's happened. It's just been steadily building, and neither side is completely clean of wrongdoing, but there is not a future that we could have where the IRGC is allowed to continue in what they're doing. This had to happen. This was just the time that it had to happen. So I completely support pushing back against the regime. I think it's right that, you know, President Trump isn't pushing for regime change from a U.S.-led regime change, because I think that's been kind of came back to bite us in the 50s and with a lot of other countries. So I think that what we're seeing is the right move. It's never easy to see bloodshed, but I think that this had to happen.
First of all, let me let the audience know, you definitely speak Farsi. And as you've been on here, you can tell some people are native and not. And first of all, that was really cool. Second of all, thank you for your service. And what a cool position to be in on the intel side. You of all people would know from an intel side what a threat is and what a threat's not. Do you think that the Iranian government was an actual real threat to the people of the U.S.?
On U.S. soil, it wasn't as big a threat as, you know, a lot of people aren't concerned with it. But when you look at service members, there's been a lot of service members who have been unalived by either directly, going all the way back to the Beirut bombings, and hundreds, thousands of Americans have been directly affected by that. And then even on American soil, you know, with the T groups that are, you see, sponsored directly by them, armed, everything else. Yes, I absolutely think that the American people were threatened. And well, you can't say Mark Dharmika, you know, every day and think that it's not a direct threat to the American people.
Fair. Now, let me ask you one last question, if I may, Dallas. What do you think? What do you, in your opinion, again, you have a very different lens. I'm clearly biased. I'm Iranian. I want them to be free. Your lens is, again, much more educated. What do you think the reasoning on why they went at this time is?
I think that if President Trump would have, so it was kind of building, coming out of the Barjam, the DPOA, whatever it is, the agreement we had under President Obama. I think that with that was a step, and it was a good step, but it wasn't enough. The Iranians were continuing to push for nuclear weapons. They were going well beyond anything that would be, you know, for civilian use, just way beyond that. So there was no other reason than they were staging. They were getting as close as they could and still have some type of plausibility. So I think Trump came in and has seen that every president we've had over the last 40 years has said they're going to attack Iran, or they're going to, you know, even people that are just running for president have said they're going to deal with Iran. None of them ever do. They just kind of slowly keep pushing it off. But it was getting to the point that I think that we saw, you know, tensions rise under Trump's first term. There was a lot of things that the general public don't see that happens but I think if President Trump would have been elected, if COVID hadn't happened, I think this would have happened a few years earlier. But with COVID and then Biden coming to office, it just reset everything. But we're at a stage, and this goes beyond Iran. I think this is pretty heavily linked to China. I think Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran had to be taken care of so that China doesn't invade Taiwan in 2027, 2028. So I think that's the timing overall.
Very interesting. I'm going to summarize in a sentence if I can, because a couple people said it in the comments, and I say it normally behind closed doors. Basically, Obama literally, fantastically said, Dallas. For lack of better words, he kicked the can. He kind of punted the ball. It wasn't an immediate threat. I don't want to deal with it. Take it off my plane. We're good enough. It got to a point where someone is going to have to do something. And for lack of better word, Trump had the grapefruits to do it. They have to be big.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Anything else, Dallas?
Nope, that's all.
Hey, I really appreciate you coming up. Thanks a bunch. Fantastic guest again. We've had a bunch of good guests today. Even Rick. Rick was entertaining today. A couple people in the comments. I am Iranian American. I am totally against the current government of Iran. They're horrible. They're absolutely horrible. I think they're literally one of the worst, aside from North Korea, governments in play. They are literally registered as a T group in the UN, the EU. So there you go. All right, we had a couple more guests. Wow, Rick. No, thank you. We have Carly again.
Hello.
Hi, Carly.
Hi, how are you?
Great idea. I'm well. How are you?
Good. You did such a good job with these people. Like
I appreciate
love it.
They're fantastic people. What's going on?
Well, I was just going to ask you if you know, and please forgive me because I don't know how to pronounce her name. But have you heard about her name is Masih?
The girl who's going to be the public unaliving.
No. This is she's an activist woman, and her last name is Aline. That here I'll actually just paste it in here because I don't know how to say her damn name.
Are you talking about the one where they tried to assassinate her?
They tried to unalive her like 3 times, and how do you say her name? Her last name is here. That's her last name right here. Hold on, I'll just post it on here because I can't say her name. I'm terrible at it. I'm so sorry, but and her I think her name is Masih. That's her last name right there. Her first name is Masih.
Okay.
Have you heard about her before?
Keep talking. Let me see. I'm gonna Google it. Yeah. This is the woman. Yes. This is the one woman who she's had multiple attempts on her life.
Yeah. So did you know? Okay, so this is pretty interesting. So right before all these attacks happened, there was an actual UN hearing, right, where she and another man who had been in prison for like 12 years simply because he protested, and they were telling their stories to the United Nations, and they had 2 representatives of the IRGC there, and she pointed at him and she said, "You tried to unalive me 3 times. I saw my would-be assassin, here. Thank goodness for the U.S. government because they protected me, right?" Anyway, they went in and she told the story of everything that happened because she's been in touch with family there, and she told the United Nations what had happened to those 40,000 people and just all the atrocities, and they both told these stories, and then there was all these other representatives that came there. And that day, they said they pointed at Obama and Biden and said, "We have been asking for help since years, and we have been ignored. We asked Obama for help, and he sent the government money instead. And what happened? That's when they started to just make more weapons, and they got worse. And they said under Trump, they also asked Trump under his first term for help, but I guess he couldn't get something through to Congress. I can't remember what happened. But then again, Biden sent them more money again, which made things worse. And they were pointing at the United Nations saying, "We've asked you for help. We need help." and you guys have ignored us. You guys have totally just completely ignored us. And now, you know, people are being unalived in the streets, and they're just told horror story after horror story about what happened. And they demanded that they didn't want any more peace deals. They said, we, the people, we want you guys to take action now. And so right after that, one of the representatives of President Trump said that we are with you. We are with you, and we are keeping an eye on everything. Don't worry. He said help is on its way.
Right.
At that point, that is when right after that, after Trump talked to the United Nations, that's when like things started happening. And I believe that Trump is doing this for the people. However, he can't say that, because if he does, then more people will be unalived. You know, imagine the threat that would cause the people of Iran. Do you know what I mean? I think that it's one of his biggest reasons why. Not the only reason, of course, we have a lot of more reasons, but I believe that a lot of it, why he started to attack, is because of the people, because he was getting, you know, information from what happened. And he also gave warnings to them. He said, do not do, because if you unalive, you know.
No, I'm very familiar with the situation. So
yeah,
that's an interesting perspective, Carly.
You know, and if, you know, because if you think about it, he was very upset about it. And he said there was a meeting where he said they cut off their internet. That's not good. You know, they can't touch it. You know,
Carly, I don't want to. First of all, listen. Hand to God, if what you're saying is true, then that means we have someone in office, and I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying he's bad. We have someone in office whose number one priority is the betterment of people in the world, which I think is a beautiful thing. That all being said, and I'm just going to say this, Carly, I hope I'm not going to offend you, but I'm going to just speak my mind for a second. My only challenge to you is if you really do, if your prerogative is to free the people, then you would never hit power plants, which he didn't. Your argument could be, Alex, he didn't, it was a threat, fine. Then you wouldn't send threats saying civilization's going to be unalived. I literally got texts from my cousin saying goodbye. They thought it was the end. And yet again, he didn't do it. So I guess my point is, if you're saying that, if what you're saying is true, then it means that the short term, you can't listen to a word he's saying and only look at the actions, right?
Right. And, you know, and here's the thing, and you're right, he did say that, but think about who he's dealing with. Think about who he is dealing with. He's dealing with like some schmurderers that have no, for 1 second, don't even care how many people they unalive of their own people. So President Trump, they've always made fun of all the presidents, saying that they're weak, they're powerless, and really, we have been weak. We've given them money, we've bowed down to them for all these years, right? But this time, they don't know who they're dealing with, and Trump has to show them that he's tougher than them. So he has to play cold-hearted, just worse than them, because if he doesn't, they're not going to take him serious. Because look at who he's dealing with. So in a way, he's got to play that role of I don't care, because the second that they think that he cares about the people, they will start using the people against him and against the United States. So that's what I believe, and I truly believe this, because like I told you before, like when I talked to you before, I told you about the Board of Peace, right? Do you realize that the peace talks were made through the Board of Peace, through Pakistan and Afghanistan, who made the peace deals, not the United Nations, which is very strange. That's never happened before. So he's actually working the peace deals through his Board of Peace, which is different. And I think that what they're doing is, and the lady that I told you about, I can't say her name. She's been working with the Trump administration and figuring out and trying to push laws and push the United Nations and the United States to declare the government as a terrorist organization, so that they can legally not recognize them, and then they can replace them. That's what she's been pushing, along with other people working with the Trump administration. And I know that's a fact. So that's pretty interesting there.
For sure. Interesting. Carly, I really hope that your perspective is right, because that means that the people are good. And I always like that narrative. I really appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks so much, Carly.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Interesting perspective. I hope she's right. Someone brought it up in comments in the right. Every time there's talks of market manipulation does occur, right? Like, and if you look at it, there's a lot of peace that happens right before the stock market, right? So again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I hope you're right. I wholeheartedly hope you're right. Okay. God bless Trump. I pay for the TDS to be over. We have like 4 more guests. Where'd you guys go? It's okay. What about the child disappearings in the Epstein cover-up? It's another thing, Jade. Every weekend. Rizzo. It feels like it. Board of Peace has 0 accounting. Nice talking to you all. Thank you, Alex. Hey, Nilu. It was a pleasure. Nilu, that sure looks like an Iranian name. Nilu Naderi. Feel free to come up, Nilu. Yeah, I think the Democrats want to be considered a T group. I think he wants the Democrats to be considered a T group. Donnie's the draft dodger. So how can he send in others' harm way? But he would fight him. But he wouldn't fight himself when asked. Trump's bored. Okay. I agree. Amanda agrees. Lisa doesn't agree. MM agrees. He's been dealing with T's that don't care about life. Amanda, that's a fact. Dino. Trump did what the other presidents didn't have the cojones to do. Dino. Yeah, I feel like I said it before. But Obama gets a lot of flack from Trump on that. The deal that he had. And I don't think it's as bad as Trump made it sound. The TLDR of it is I think he punted the ball. He was like, okay, I'm going to release that in a huge misconception. It was their own money. It's not like he gave them, oh, you know what, here, Fed government, print money. He unfroze assets. And the percentage of assets that they unfroze compared to their GDP was relatively small. But still, it was a lot of money. That all being said, the exchange of them getting their money back was that there would be a neutral party to be able to come and kind of inspect those development agencies to make sure that they're compliant. And based on my research, they've been compliant when they were supposed to. However, you can't trust these bastards. I can't say the word. You can't trust them because they're compliant where they're supposed to be. But Iran's a big country. Were they going to be compliant always? I think it was a punt. I think it was Obama had a bunch of stuff going on. I want to take this off my plate. It's someone else's problem. It will be someone else's problem. I think that's the best way to describe it. Thank you, Pamela. Trump is on the right place at the right time. Do you have family friends over there that are okay? What are their opinions? Michael, yeah, I have half of my family's there. So my grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, my stepmom, they are currently there. Let me pick my words. They're not as optimistic, if I'm calling a spade a spade. I think that they lost a little bit of wind in their sail. And I specifically asked, I said, well, look, when we first talked, it was good. I think it's dragging out a lot longer than it was supposed to from the Iranian people's perspective. And I think that seeing the other militia groups coming in, seeing the Iraqis coming in, seeing the Houthis coming in, I think that demoralizes them a bit. And then realizing that these IRGC guys are willing to go down with the ship at whatever the expense is also is demoralizing. So I think that would be the only thing. It's easier to be optimistic when I look out the window and see grass, and they look out the window and see other countries' flags armed, So I'd say that's a big difference. I think all presidents just kept tossing money at them. What about the polls and internal groups? Let's say Iranians support their government. Moo, you should come up and talk, Moo. You should come up and talk and be my last friend of the day, because I think we're going to be friends. There's no reason we can't. You have family there, and you're talking here. Hope they stay safe. Wallah Foods. Thank you. I appreciate it. You sent 3 requests. I didn't get any. I'm sending you one personally. Support Iran all the way. Hey, Zach, I'm assuming you mean support the Iranian people all the way. Good, you should. Have you ever lived in Iran? Amanda, I spent 3.5 years there. I used to go there as a kid. I'd go there my summers. So my parents would take me out of school 1 week before school ended, and they'd bring me back 1 week before school started. And it wasn't just 1 year. It was a lot. Well over 3.5 years of my life was spent there. Over many different periods of time. Like, many different ages, right? So yeah, I spent a lot of time there. Which part of Iran are you from? Tehran is where my family lives. The capital. Free Iranians. Amen. I support Persians. Good, Bronco. Thank you. Amanda got it. Yeah. Hey, is what the media said about Iranians' human wall around the infrastructure true? Lord, it totally is true. We can talk about that in a second. Hey, Moo.
Hi, what's up?
Listen, I'm telling you, we're going to be friends.
Okay.
So, what questions do you have? You were talking about a poll of some sort. What was your question?
So you were citing a poll that was done with a little bit of sketchy methodology.
From Iran International.
Right. With the VPN users and only VPN users, which is, I feel like, is confirmation bias, right? Because the people that are going to want to access outside of the internet and risk, if there's any consequences of that, or have the knowledge to do that, those are going to be people that typically are not going to agree with the government, right? If you want to be outside of the internet, you're going to be someone who doesn't agree most of the time.
Fair. You are a little rebellious in nature if you're using a VPN to go around what the government doesn't want you to see.
Exactly.
I'd agree.
But I mean, we have a Pew Research poll that I cited from 2013.
What was which one?
Let me see.
What was the name? Did you put it in a thing? Pew. Let's see. We'll bear with her. We will bear with her. I just sent 3. That's the last thing I see from you. What about the polls? Polls in Gallup Pew?
Hang on a sec. The one from Pew was from 2013.
Okay. And what does that say? Here, let's pull it up.
But it said 40% wanted religious figures to play a role in their government.
Okay.
It said...
So 40% want religion in their government. When you look at the article, it mutes you. So here's the article. Gallup, 47% of Iranians had confidence in their national government.
Yeah.
47% had confidence in their government, okay? Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, yeah, 40%, 47% is a lot. Like, it's a lot that have confidence in their government. And even as an American, if someone asks you, do you have confidence in your government, and you don't agree with who's in charge, you're going to say no. But it doesn't mean that you want your government to be overthrown and your people.
Before we digest that poll, I wanted to read the poll. I found it. I have it right here. Before we read it, I think it's important to know how was the data collected, right? Because would the people say something? Do you think the people would talk freely if they were on a recorded line?
There's an internal poll that even shows poll from Iran. This is a separate poll, but there's also an internal poll from Iran that says 92% disagree with. I don't know the different parties and the different. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's okay. Let me rewind for a second. I want to come back to this point.
92% disagree, and that's an internal poll conducted by their government.
Bear with me for a second. Let me reel you back in. Let's talk about your poll. Here's the issue that I have with the poll. The poll was done by 1,011 people, which is a good. I'll take that as an acceptable number.
Sample size.
The issue was done by phone inside Iran. So, if phone inside Iran, people can't talk freely.
Okay, then. So you think of those 1,000 people, the 53% that said that they agree with the government, or the 53% that said they don't agree with the government, you think 500 people, 600 people got, I don't know, kidnapped in the middle of the night and put in prison because they answered this poll? Like, why would they risk that for an American poll? That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, this is a really healthy conversation. So do I think that 530 people got arrested? No, absolutely not. Do I think that there was a chance? If I'm on the phone and get a call from a random person, the first thing that I have to do is identify who they are. Then I'm going to have to gauge how much do I care about the poll, right? Then I'm going to gauge, do I have the time to do it? And then after that, you want me to make it this, then I have to put myself at risk to give an answer. So what I'm saying is, I think that is a skewed poll where people are going to be incentivized. What do they get out of it by saying, no, I don't support the government? Potential risk. What do they get out of it by saying they do support it? Bad data, no risk.
If the risk were that high, you wouldn't have 53% saying no. You would
I
have.
think that goes to show you how much they hate their government. That 53% of them are willing to, for the sake of a poll, put their lives in potential risk.
Confirmation bias. It's Pew Research. It's the gold standard of polling. So is Gallup.
But it was
Pew
done by
Research or
phone
Gallup
in Iran. I'm not saying that the way they collected data is poor. I'm saying I'm not blaming Pew. I'm saying in general, there's no way for you to collect good
What
data
about
like that over the phone.
So you've polls are conducted by phone all the time. Okay?
Correct.
So polls conducted by phone are somehow invalid to you, is what you're saying.
When you have freedom of
But
speech,
polls conducted from a VPN are not invalid.
there's no question. What you're saying about the VPN, you're right.
Well,
that
you're
the data.
But what you're saying about freedom of speech is also misleading because we have blanket freedom of speech. Other countries have free speech in other ways. They don't, when someone says that you don't have free speech, it doesn't mean that you can't disagree with the government. Like in Russia, okay? Like let's just say Russia, for example. They don't have free political speech if you're taking money from foreign agents and you are acting as a political organization, right? And so we see people being jailed for that. However, we see other people who are writing independent papers inside Russia on the Russian government's website, critical of the Russian government, and they're just fine. Do you know why that is? It's because there are specific laws about what you can and can't say. It doesn't mean that they don't have free speech, so they can't say, I don't like my government.
Moo, do you support the IRGC?
Do I?
Yeah. Do you support the IRGC?
I support the right of the people to choose their own government.
Okay.
And if that is the government that they have chosen,
But it's not.
then that is their. But it is.
Could you explain why?
It goes back to 1979.
And what happened in 1979?
Oh, you know what happened in 1979.
I do know what happened in 1979.
Like
They were lied to, right?
Yeah, right. They overthrew the previous government
Correct.
because it was connected to the U.S. Right?
Sure, yeah. But I guess my point is, the 1979, granted, if you're saying that they made a mistake 47 years ago by trusting this lying government, and therefore they have to deal with their consequences, that's a different conversation than saying they picked them and we're expecting this and this is what they signed up for, right?
No, but they're still having, like, you're acting like they don't have votes. You act like
They don't.
there aren't, like, but
That's exactly. They don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you hear the story of when I was there in 2009 for the fraudulent election? When I was there myself.
no, I don't need to hear that story because
Okay.
it's like someone in a TikTok comment saying, "Oh, I was in Cuba at 12 years old. They had me at a booth and I was stuffing ballots." Like, okay, but since you're disputing that
That they have the right to vote. That they have free
that
speech. Absolutely.
let's go back to the polls,
Okay.
right? Because that's what I came up here to discuss.
Sure.
So if you're disputing that the American poll conducted by phone is, going to be valid, even though people showed that half of them approve and half of them disagree, there's a newer poll in 2022 where more of them agreed, but I won't even go to that one yet. We'll go to the one that was conducted by the Iranian government where people disapproved. Okay.
Yeah.
And like that shows that they can disapprove.
Okay. The Iranian government is. Where'd you go? Come back.
No, I'm just trying to find the link, bro.
That's okay. I'll can find the link in a second, but let's talk about that one. So the Iranian government, they're not dumb. The fact that they're still in survival right now, still in existence, shows that. They're not dumb. So let me be very clear. I do not think that they're dumb. That all being said, if they were to post a poll and said 100% of the people support us, do you think the actual people would believe that poll? If you saw a poll that said 100% of the people's favorite color is blue.
What if you saw a poll that said 92% of Iranians disagree with this these particular leaders. Now, I don't
Yeah.
know the ins and outs of whatever, but it said they disagree with these particular leaders,
Right.
and a certain percentage agreed with the others. You can pull it up if you want to read it
Yeah,
out.
I know the poll. It's from Iran International in November of 2025. I'm aware of it. But that poll,
But how does that jive with what you're saying? That
because I've been
oh,
there,
they
I've seen
can't-
it.
They can't express, but they're literally showing in this poll that they can disagree with the government. Nobody who answered
Listen,
that poll
Moo,
that they disagree.
here's the issue.
is
I don't
getting
think that I don't think that the Iranian government actually even conducted the poll. That's how little faith I have. I think
Okay,
that they just
so
was
you
like,
have you,
yeah, it
you
sounds
don't
right.
believe, you don't have faith in Pew Research, which is one of the gold
No,
standards.
I'm
of
not saying you don't have faith in
You
Pew
don't have
Research.
faith in Gallup Research, which is again
You didn't give me the
another
Gallup one.
gold
I can
standard
look at the Gallup
of
one.
polling, and you
What's
don't
the
have
Gallup one?
faith in the Iranians' internal polling.
So, Moo,
But you have faith
hold on.
in some billionaire funded poll that was conducted
So, Moo,
based on VPNs
Can I
of people that already disagree.
Okay. So we talked about Pew. Let me reiterate because I want to make sure you're understanding. I don't have any issue with Pew. I have an issue with the way data was collected. You expect people to risk themselves, potentially risk consequences if they speak the truth. That just doesn't make sense. How do the people know that they weren't being set up? It could be an internal government call, seeing if people that don't like the government, and then they would go arrest them. Things like this has happened. So I don't trust that people are honest in the poll.
Company.
So okay,
Like-
but hold on, Moo. Sorry, it's Moo, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I don't trust that people felt comfortable enough to be honest with the poo. The Iranian one, the second one, you realize it is quite literally illegal for the people to go outside in their street right now in Iran to go say anything. Like they had their celebration. That they have a big holiday. It's called Chasham Shuri. They go and it's a holiday where they jump over fire. They were told if they go out inside the street to celebrate, that they will be unalived. So you want me to trust the government who's doing that to their own people with a poll? And I know you don't want to hear the story because you don't know me, which is fine. And I'm not going to tell you my real stuff anyway for you to verify, so it's fine. So you're saying you don't trust that story. And I'm telling you, and I guess this is just the delta, I, with my own eyes, was in Iran in 2009 when they had a fraudulent election. I was there at the protest with my own eyes. I have the picture. I have pictures. Not only do I have pictures, I was at the protest
You were at
myself.
protest. So
Correct.
then how are you at a protest if they don't have the right to go outside and say that they disagree with the government?
By risking their lives. I can absolutely tell you the story, but you said you don't want to hear it.
The reason that things escalated the way they did in January and February is because we supplied arms. Israel has already admitted to being involved. The New York Times reported on it. Okay, Trump already admitted that we supplied arms, and I know it's the New York Times, but that's exactly why it's credible, because it's a Zionist paper. So if the New York Times is saying this,
How are we? What are we
it's
talking about with the protests now? That the people are free to protest?
no, what I'm saying is, if you attended a protest,
When I attended the protest.
when you attended a protest, okay, you are therefore proving that, like, people can protest. And what I'm saying is, the difference between when you were at a protest and the protests in January is because it was a U.S. and Israel-backed coup attempt. And
So-
they've admitted to this publicly.
Okay.
Just like the Tiananmen Square massacre, okay, where CIA operatives had a fucking flamethrowers. They had flamethrowers.
How many
And they
people?
were setting police
Hold on, Moo.
officers
I listened
on
to you for like
fire.
5 minutes.
But
Give
in
me a
the
second.
media,
Moo, how many people does it take to be unalived before you to realize that maybe it's not safe to go protesting? What's your threshold?
how do you feel about Renee Good?
I have no idea what
How do you
Renee
feel
Good
about
is. I'm
Alex
asking
Reddy?
you. I'm asking you how many people have to be unalived in a protest for you to understand that it's not safe to protest? What's your number? 2? 1?
Any.
Okay.
Just like here in the
So how,
U.S.
okay, any, period.
Are you
Any.
advocating?
Full
Are you
stop. Any.
advocating?
No, Moo. I'm trying to. I'm really trying.
Because it's
Katie,
not
you're
protest
absolutely right, love.
protest?
You're really right. Okay, Moo, I'm trying hard to be your friend here, but you gotta let me listen. I'm trying. I've been on your wavelength, and now I'm just asking you to hop off yours for a second. I'm not even asking you to hop on mine. I'm asking you to be neutral. Just hear me out. So, how many protesters? You said 0. You said none should. Freedom of speech or freedom to protest, or you have the right to protest means no one should be harmed. Fine. How many protesters got unalived in January in Iran for protesting? What's your number?
I am not an authority.
Okay, you don't need to be an authority.
I'm not.
You
I'm
like
not a
polls.
source.
Iran themselves is saying 3,000 plus. Humanitarian groups are saying 22, 27,000. Inside Iran, they're saying 40, 50, 60,000. If even Iran's number of 3,000 protesters, you just named 2 names. There's 3,000 protesters. We interviewed a girl, Moo, we interviewed a girl for an hour and a half last week who was one of the protesters that got hit. And we went into vivid detail, and I asked so many questions. There's no question that she was there. So I guess my point is, the people in Iran are not free. They did not sign up for this government. They are oppressed. The data, if you're arguing over the data, I've been trying to show you that when the government has no problem using live rounds on protesters, the people are afraid. And when people are afraid, they're not going to say the truth. If you take a kid who's abused by his dad, and then the dad goes, "Hey, son, how was yesterday?" and gives him a little nudge, you want the kid to be like, "Oh, did dad hit me?" No. What?
You see these people? These people are only agreeing with you because
No, Moo, because
because
I've been extremely nice,
saying,
polite.
She's a violent agitator, not an innocent protester. That's the entire point. Okay, first off, she wasn't.
I don't know who we're talking about.
But even if she was,
What are we
a
talking?
violent agitator,
Moo, what are we talking about?
They're in the
Could we
comments.
rewind you? And you're completely ignoring what I just said. You're talking about 1 right now. I'm asking you to talk about the minimum of 3,000 based on your statistic.
3,000 because, okay, their intelligence is not stupid. Their
Who's
intelligence knew that it was Mossad and that it was the U.S. arming protesters.
The protesters, you think this was a civil war? You think it was a firefight? Moo, go listen to the story of the girl. I'm going to paraphrase the story of the girl. The girl was out protesting wearing a hoodie. She was tagging stuff. She had spray cans. They grabbed her. They caught her. They grabbed her. They hit her with a baton. She tried to run away, and she took a round in the leg. They then put her in a paggy wagon where they started to SA her. They put her in a dark room for 3 days, treated nothing with the wound. Then they blackmailed the father into giving up literally his house so that he can get his young daughter out. That's what happened.
Okay.
There's an hour and a half story on that.
Do you think
that a government does that
in the U.S.?
I don't think that happens here in the U.S. nearly like it did. She's one of how many?
Every single day, police officers SA women. Yes, every single day, multiple times a day. Okay, every single day. I'm not.
No.
Do they
point-
blackmail people for their house? No.
Okay.
But during a protest that is instigated by the CIA and Mossad, which they've admitted to, these are not conspiracy theories. They are facts that they have admitted to. I'm not a liberal. I'm much worse. Okay.
What's worse than that? I'm asking. I'm not saying what's worse than liberal. I'm saying what you said. You're much worse. What's worse?
But the point is,
Gotcha.
okay, you have a double standard. You have a double standard based on
Me.
American exceptionalism. Yes.
I do. Okay.
You think that because America is whatever, okay, that we get to
A great
police
place
the
to
rest of the world.
Yeah.
And the reason that the rest of the world is the way that it is exactly because we meddle in things that we shouldn't meddle in.
No.
And that's like you can the way that you start the story, the point that you start the story twists how people hear it. And America has this great, perfect strategy of telling the story at the point where people think that we're the good guys. When our soldiers go places,
Hey, Moo, I really want to,
they
there's
rape
so
women.
much to real. So I just have a random question, right? And you've heard the stories. So
No, they do. Vietnam,
I'm
babies.
talking about Iran. I'm trying to really evacuate. Moo, we quite literally, we have 2 family friends who lost their lives to the protesters. Apparently they were one of the 3,000, which is an incredible coincidence. I mean, just mind-blowing. And on top of that, we met a third who got hit. I mean, holy cow.
I'm not.
And you know what?
saying
Her
that there were no
scar could have
innocent
just been
civilians
her
left
stabbing with
with
a pen.
I'm not saying that all of them were. I'm saying that it was instigated by. And instead of putting your anger towards the people that are instigating shit in your own country, okay, you're on the side of the oppressor.
So, Moo, what you tell me what's worse? Instigating a riot or your government, whose job is to protect you, using live rounds against protesters? Which one do you think is worse?
The government doesn't know which of you are CIA agents
That
or
is
Mossad
so
agents.
true. I mean, they are hitting kids, Moo. Kids. This girl was 16. A girl, a 16-year-old girl. That's a Mossad agent.
I'm not defending that. I'm not defending
Then listen, you're talking about things happen in the U.S. This is bad. U.S. sucks. We're this, we're that. All I'm trying to do is get you to understand that whatever your worst nightmare is, Iran is worse. And you haven't been there. I don't think you've done a lot of research on it.
They
I've
may
lived
be
there.
worse. Nobody's saying that they're not worse. It's not a hierarchy of good versus evil. It's not I'm on this team, you're on that team. Groupthink is what screws people up. It's why you have people who can't think critically, who can't look at a source and figure out if it's a good poll or not.
I think you're in that category. I think you're
You are
worse than
entitled
that.
to that opinion.
Thank you, Mo. Hey, I appreciate your time. I don't think we're gonna be friends. Darn, I was really hoping to make a new friend today. I'm not gonna say what's on my head. That's okay. I tried. The reason I kept her up so long is because she was well-spoken-ish, and I was like, you know what? She's able to do some research. There's no way this young girl is not capable of opening her eyes. And I feel like there are a couple times where like, hey, listen, look at what you said. You brought up 2 names of people you didn't like. Here's 3,000. Can we talk about the 3,000? I tried. You have friends if you're gonna shut. Thanks, Lacey. Everything is CIA move with some people. BMD. I was even fine. It's a CIA move. Fine. Like, let's say it is for a second. Let's go down that path. It's a CIA move. It was CIA Mossad, and they did arm the Iranian people. Let's just say it. Fine. Then the Iranian people needed a kick. Fine. They took the bait. They did it. Fine. The government should under no circumstances attack their people, period. And the number is way higher than 3,000. And another interesting thing, the same guy who claimed that poll of 3,000, I forget his name, whatever the numbers guy was, who claimed the poll guy, who said 3,000 and said there's no way 3.5 million people would be on the street. Do you know how big of a number that is? His same news source said 14.6 million people are in the streets celebrating or protesting America for the power stuff. So 3.5 million, gotta ignore that statistic because that doesn't meet my stuff. But I'm going to use one data source, and then I'm going to use the same one at 14. Oh my God, you're compromised, Alex. I could see it clearly. Thanks, Dwayne. Next time the American protester loses their stuff, I'm blaming the CIA. Who said so? I heard the same thing. How do I join? Amber, I'm supposed to be going to bed. It's 1 o'clock, but fuck it. Sorry, Darlene. Amber, I can't invite you. Your permissions aren't there. You'd have to click the lose two people button. Okay. Okay, Moo, I'm done. So curious how she feels about Ukraine. Literally lost some brain cells listening to that. I was gonna bring up IQ, and then I told myself, Alex, don't do that. I try to come out every night to listen and learn. I appreciate different views, but man, she's Lacey, she's out there. But you know what? It's okay. We try. They just hate the U.S. You know what, Amanda? And I'm not, Moo, if you're listening, I'm swear to God, I'm not trying to talk bad about you. Regardless of what my smirk says, I'm just smirking. But I'm not talking bad about you, I swear. I have I'm going to go on a complete different tangent and waiting for this person to join. So I have this theory, okay, that our lives collectively, your average middle class person, people who have their needs met, our lives are too easy. Seriously, hear me out. Our lives are too easy. We don't have to worry about food, right? We don't have to worry about power. If you're at that point where you don't need to worry about food, you don't need to worry, your basic needs are met, then your mind starts having some free time. And I swear, this is my own opinion, that when your mind doesn't have problems, it starts looking for one. And so when life is too good, then you start saying, and I'm not even going down conspiracy rabbits. I think it starts much simple that, like, people get depressed or people get anxious. And I think one of the root of that is because our lives are good, that your brain is kind of wired to not be this good. I mean, we come from not having these luxury lives or these lives of abundance. We go from having to hustle every day to meet bare ends, and some do. But I think my point is that when you don't have a problem, sometimes people make one. To continue that tangent, why I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is life-changing is because for that 2 hours, you really have life or unalive problems. Like, you have a 300-pound gorilla who's trying to unalive you, like you have real problems. And when you come out from that for 2 hours, you're like, okay, you know what? My boss may have thrown a Sharpie at my head and told me I'm an effing idiot. But you know what? Life isn't that bad. It's not a big deal. Like, I'm going to be okay. I think that same metaphor translates for people inside America. Like, we have it so good here that when you have it so good, you start looking at the problems. You don't look about the 150 good things we have here. You look at the 5 bad things that we have here, and you hyperfixate on them. When damn near every other country in the world would kill to have what we have here. So I think it's an important thing that brings it down to that appreciation. And you know who the most appreciative people are? I swear, this is, again, my sample size. People who've been out in, like, I have a really, really good friend of mine who went out and did multiple tours in Afghanistan. He is the most appreciative person when he comes here. And I mean, he's the best father. He's the most patient person. He is so patient. Luckily, he got blessed. He doesn't have PTSD. He is so patient. You could literally go up to him. He's a big guy. You can go up to him, punch him in the face, spit on him, and be like, I hate you. And he'd be like, whoa, listen, man, are you okay? Do you need something? Like, you need a hug? Like, he's like that. Why? Because he's seen so much bad stuff, and he's even said it. He's like, when you see kids get unalived by the dozens, and when half your platoon doesn't make it home, you start realizing what's important, right? And I think that that's not understood enough. Sorry for my long debate, my long rant. But I think it's so important. Like, we live in a really good place. You are privileged and think no, Moo, I don't think everyone is. I even said a disclosure. And my privilegedness is because of the land of opportunity. You're not entitled to know my personal story. And so you're not entitled to know. And you're not entitled to know my parents' story. But I'll tell you what, my father, when he came from Iran, came from the point of living up in an attic, eating corn, living up in an attic illegally with an extension cord hidden up there to power himself. He has your typical immigrant story. And why did he make it? He's very successful. Why did he make it successfully? Because of the land of opportunity. Would he have been that successful in North Korea? Probably not. Anywho, all right. We have Miss Ambry. Let me just catch up on the comments, Ambry. CJ. I've been pretty directly impacted by the actions of this administration. Ashley, I hope that you still have food and stuff. Arctic, I'll tell it another time. The 2009 story. It's depressing. I grew up in abject poverty, and I could not be more thankful to be from there. There you go. I love America. Same, Darlene. We actually really do have it good here. We're actually spoiled. When you serve overseas, you get it. Steve, 100%. Carly, 100%. Nacho, exactly. Okay. How long would Moo last living in Iran? With her attitude? Not long. She doesn't seem like the kind who would wear a hijab, even if it's the rules. So not long. And for those of you who are just here, please, I posted part 3. Listen to that young girl's story. We talked about it. That young girl who went out protesting and ended up having some stuff happen to her. It's like a podcast style. Like, it's like 30 minutes. No, I'm sorry, it's like an hour and 30 minutes. I just posted 30 minutes. I tried cutting it to just get rid of some of the blank times. But watch it. Holy cow. Holy cow. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I wanted to verify some of the stuff, like, right? Like, you're giving someone an audience, you want to make sure that they are. And so, if you 100% she's telling the truth. Every piece of it. Okay. It's actually on here. I should post it on YouTube, but my YouTube right now is tied for professional, and I get a lot of crazy stuff, so like I need to clearly separate it, so I need to make one. Surprise, surprise. I rock a hijab. Less work on my curly hair. Okay. Then maybe she would last longer. There we go. Okay, sorry, I had to guess. Amber, I am so sorry. Hey, Amber. That is some cool hair. I don't think I've ever seen hair like that before. She would go to Iran and say one sentence of what she was singing in here. Oh God, here we go again. That's not me. That's what someone said. It's been rough, actually. I was a federal employee that was doged. It was unexpected. I'm sorry for your hardships, Ashley. But luckily, you're in the land of the free. You're in the land of opportunity. And I'm optimistic, Ashley, that you are going to get back on your feet. CJ, her story was incredible, was it not? Oop, I posted a little. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Amber, I don't know what's going on. All right. Try to request back up, Amber. Anywho. Hi, Ashley. Miss you. Hey, Lisa. Okay. Amber, yeah, I tried. All right, my friend. Holy cow, it's 12:55. Why is Iraq helping Iran? Inoni. The Iraqi-Iranis went through a war, and it was extremely ugly. And those people who deceased because of the Iran-Iraq war are turning in their graves. Hello, how are you?
Hi, sorry, let me get some order. My baby's asleep.
Persian woman, I can say by how she said somewhere. Irani Asti?
Yes, I am. So
there you go. What's going on?
I mean, to listen to, I don't know, Western